Right, so let's talk about Aston Villa because Aston Villa are having a phenomenal season. They are having an absolutely extraordinary season so far in the Premier League. I mean, to be where they are, fifth in the Premier League, just a couple of points off top as well. They're 4 points off first position. They've scored the joint most amount of goals in the league so far with 26, which is the same as Newcastle. They've scored more goals than Liverpool, more goals than Man City, more goals than Arsenal, more goals than Tottenham, and they're fifth in the league, 7 wins from 10 games. They are absolutely flying at the moment, and I feel like they're going under the radar quite a bit. I feel like not a lot of people are really talking about what Unai Emery is doing with Aston Villa right now. Not a lot of people are talking about how good of a season they are having. I think all the focus, all the praise and attention has very much been directed towards the likes of Ange Postecoglou, who's obviously had a phenomenal season so far with Tottenham. First season to win 8 of their opening 10 games, 2 draws. I don't think any manager has had a better start to a club in the Premier League than him, and he deserves all the plaudits and all the praise. And obviously Man City have had a good season, Arsenal have been alright, Liverpool have looked quite good under Jurgen Klopp so far this year, but Villa have been nothing short of sensational in my opinion. I mean, they have 22 points after 10 games, 7 wins. In any other season, they would be in the top 4 and probably be perceived to be in a title race with this amount of points after this amount of matches. And look, do I think Villa are in a title race? No, I don't think they'll sustain it. And look, even Villa fans would say that. I don't think Villa are expected to be in a title race. I think that's, fairy talk in many ways. But when you look at their team and you look at it from 1 to 11, players coming off the bench, the manager, Villa should be considered as serious contenders for the Champions League. And the more I look at them, the more I think they will get Champions League football next season. I really, really do. Obviously with the English coefficient going into next season, it's very, very likely that it's very, very likely that the top 5 in England go into the Champions League next year. And obviously it depends on, English clubs have to do well in Europe this season in order for that to happen. Europa League, Champions League, everything else. So Villa, will probably want the likes of Man United, Arsenal, Man City, Newcastle to do well in the Champions League in order for the top 5 to get that 5th coefficient place. But they've already got a 5-point gap over Newcastle, who are below them obviously in the table. 5-point gap over Brighton. They're currently 7 points above Manchester United. They're 10 points above Chelsea. Yeah, so they are absolutely flying. And you look at the form of Ollie Watkins, scoring goals left, right and centre. Looks like one of the best forwards in the league right now. Douglas Luiz is in the absolute form of his life. It was mad. There was a real demand in the summer for midfielders. There was a real midfield frenzy going on. Sort of everyone was after midfielders in the summer transfer window. Bayern Munich, Man United, Chelsea, Arsenal, everyone was after midfielders, defensive midfielders, centre midfielders, everyone was after midfielders. And as a Liverpool fan, I remember thinking, why is nobody interested in Douglas Luiz? Why is nobody looking at this guy? Because physically, he's got it all. He can make interceptions. Creativity-wise, he's got it as well. He sets up chances. I mean, this was a guy who was scoring goals from corners. How often do you see that? I mean, this guy is a phenomenal player in around midfield. He's a goal scorer as well. He's getting goals. He's a goal scorer midfielder. He's got it all. And he's playing for a top team in the Premier League. Yes, now don't get me wrong. If any of Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City, anyone came in from, he probably would have cost a lot of money. But he would have cost significantly less in the summer because he probably didn't have the best season last year. So, or give or take, So, it was interesting that nobody came in for him. It was interesting that, he wasn't really linked with anyone. I would have took him at Liverpool, albeit as a Liverpool fan, I'm quite happy with our summer transfer window in the end. And if you're asking me who I would rather, Douglas Luiz, McAllister or Szoboszlai, I would rather McAllister and Szoboszlai right now. I will have to be honest, but Villa are really, really onto something. They are onto something. The way that they play football, passing and out from the back, a real progressive style of football, playing the ball quickly, using the channels, defensively very strong as well with the likes of Konsa and obviously Pau Torres in there. That maybe is the slight weakness with Villa, is defensively. I think they've done well defensively. I think they've improved defensively, I think is where I'm getting at, as opposed to where they were at the start of the season. I mean, let's not forget in the opening 4 matches, I think they conceded 10 goals. They conceded 5 at Newcastle, 3 at Liverpool. After that, they've significantly gotten better. And I think defensively they are improving, as the sort of games go on, as the weeks go on. And let's not forget they've got European football to contend with as well. They do have European football, which certainly will absorb a lot of their energy, their time, their consumption and everything else. And they're still picking up results in the league. And I think there's 12 straight home wins now as well under Unai Emery. I mean, that's extraordinary. I don't know if any other team has had a record like that any time recently. Maybe Man City, maybe Liverpool, maybe Arsenal. But Villa have been sensational. And I remember seeing a graphic as well of how the league table would look since Unai Emery has taken charge. And, they'd be up there in and around the top of the league, second, third, or up there. And you think about where Villa were this time last year under Steven Gerrard. Like, they were heading one way, and that was towards the championship. They were headed possibly towards relegation. Unai Emery's come in, and he has completely galvanised the club, and it's remarkable what he's done there. And he's only had 2 transfer windows. What's he going to do in January? What's he going to do next summer? How good could Villa be in the next kind of couple of seasons? It's going to be very interesting to keep an eye on them. And, when we're looking at Champions League, look, I think the top 4 have been very, very good. I think that's the only disappointment from Villa, is that they have been so good, but everyone else has been so good as well. There's been 4 teams that have been better than them. Liverpool are in phenomenal form this season. Arsenal are in brilliant form. City are in brilliant form. Tottenham are obviously doing what they're doing. Can we see Villa realistically crack that top 4? It's going to be tough. Like, you couldn't see City dropping out there. Will Arsenal drop out? Will Liverpool drop out? Maybe Tottenham might go on obviously they're the anomaly at the moment right now. I mean, they're not used to being in this position. Maybe they're going to drop a couple of points over the next wall. Ange's first season, we're yet to see what happens, how they respond to adversity, losing a game, going behind, and all that sort of type of thing. So, but even if they finish 5th and get into, get the Champions League, get that 5th position, if, 5 teams do go into the Champions League, but even going into the Europa League, they would be contenders for the Europa League next season. They would be. They certainly would be. And they still have Tyrone Mings to come back as well. I think Moussa Diaby has gradually gotten better in a Villa in a Villa shirt. He obviously scored at the weekend against Luton. They're scoring goals left, right and centre, from all areas of the field. And I think they're a serious team, and they are flying hugely under the radar, in my opinion. And I think getting into the Champions League next season is very, very plausible right now for Aston Villa. You look at it, there's a 5-point gap between them and some of the teams below them. Look, obviously we've only played 10 games. Things change very, very quickly, and you certainly won't rule out teams below them, Newcastle, Brighton, even Man United, as much as they're in a crisis right now. But I think Villa are in a fantastic position to go and possibly get Champions League football because of the way that they're playing as well, not just the teams below them. If they can continue this form, continue this trajectory that they're on in terms of how many points they've been getting from last season and this season. And you look at their defeats, they've lost to Liverpool and Newcastle. There's no shame in losing away to those grounds. I know they were beaten quite comfortably, but these things do happen, and yeah, I think Villa could cause it. And it'd be very interesting to see, can they keep this up? Can they keep up with Tottenham, Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool? It will just be very, very interesting. They're gonna be a very tough team to beat this season. Maybe a run in the FA Cup as well. Who knows? But yeah, hit the like button, subscribe. Let me know what have your thoughts been on Aston Villa this season. How far can they go? Can they sustain this? And yeah, what's the expectation for Villa now? Because I'm looking at them and thinking, I think they're onto something. I really do.